Today is Friday, June 26th. Welcome to this edition of Nevada County Now. Today's episode, we're talking more COVID cases, theaters, the county fair, and more. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Nevada County Now. I'm your host, Cole Pettit. We'll start off tonight with an update on the COVID situation. Nevada County is continuing to experience a spike in COVID-19 cases this week. On last week's show, we reported 71 total cases with 19 active. At the time of recording today, there were a total of 101 confirmed cases with 23 active. Last week, Eastern Nevada County had 51 total cases and Western Nevada County had 20. At the moment, Eastern Nevada County sits at 71 cases and Western at 30. The county website now shows the zip code where confirmed cases reside. 66 of the 101 total cases are in one area code, 96161, which is in Eastern County, encompassing Truckee. The only other area code with at least 10 cases is 95945, which includes parts of Grass Valley. They list a total of 5,643 tests performed this week, an increase of 1,357 tests performed, a large increase from previous weeks. The Nevada County Sheriff's Office announced yesterday that they will be providing free evacuated tags for residents to place in a highly visible place, such as a door, reflective address sign, mailbox, fence, or gate, as they evacuate their residents during an emergency. These tags will help first responders swiftly identify which homes have been evacuated so they can focus their attention on those who still need help and decrease overall evacuation times. For more information, including where you can pick up your tag and an informational video from the Nevada County Sheriff's Office, visit readynevadacounty.org. Del Oro Movie Theater is set to reopen today with modifications in place. All seating will now be reserved. You can purchase tickets and pick out your seats online in advance. The auditorium is limited to 25% of capacity as mandated by the state of California. Guests are required to wear face coverings while in the lobby and restrooms. The movies being shown for opening week are Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Avengers, Zootopia, The Greatest Showman, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Some new movies will be returning in the coming weeks, including Disney's Mulan on July 24th and Christopher Nolan's Tenet on July 31st. Visit sierratheaters.com for showtimes and to get your tickets. Our main story tonight is the fair. Around here, the Nevada County Fair is the event of the year. Just not this year. Yesterday, I spoke with Patrick Eidman, CEO of the Nevada County Fairgrounds, about all that's happened so far and where things are going from here. I'm joined today by Patrick Eidman, CEO of the Nevada County Fairgrounds. Thanks for joining me today, Patrick.
Cole, thanks for having us. Always happy to talk about fair and the fairgrounds.
Yeah, of course. So I'm sure most people already are aware of it, but this year's fair has been canceled. And for those who may not know, would you be willing to give us a little bit of a rundown of the decision-making process that went into deciding that?
Sure. So we are a district agricultural association. We're part of the state. We are a state-owned property. So we do, though, have a local governing board. So there's typically 9. Right now we have 1 vacancy. So 8 members of local citizens that are on our fair board that are our governing board. And they had first agendized status of the fair for the end of May. And then that day, the governor in his midday briefing talked about how the state was moving more quickly into stage 3. There were some rumors about Disneyland maybe opening. So the board actually pulled the consideration of the fair from the agenda that night and postponed for 2 weeks. And we just did a deep dive. And we looked really hard trying to find a way that it would be possible to put on fair, but ultimately fairs and festivals are still in stage 4. There's no date for that. So the boards, begrudgingly, I think's the right word, had to cancel fair. It wasn't certainly our first choice. It's disappointing. We know it's disappointing to the community, but for this year, it was the only and the right choice.
Right. And I mean, as a state-owned facility, basically, you don't really have a whole lot of choice in that matter. If the state basically says you're not going to open, then you're not going to open, right?
Right. Yep. We have to follow state public health orders, and yeah, and we waited really as long as we could. Putting the fair together is a big effort. Hundreds of contracts and exhibitors and participants and employees, and so yeah, that was our marker, sort of early mid-June, to make the decision. And we have to make that decision. The board has to make that decision based on the facts as they exist today. So.
Right. Okay. And so what was the reaction of the community just in general to that decision?
Yeah, as we expected, Nevada County really turns out for the fair. It's Nevada County's favorite event for, I don't know, something like 18 or 20 years running. We understand how important it is, to the nonprofits on Treat Street, to the vendors, both local and out of the area, that come in, the people that just want to have fun, the livestock exhibitors and ag mechanics. And there are a lot of pieces. Fair is a major economic driver for the community, and certainly we took all of those into consideration. So yeah, there was people were disappointed, and I'm with them. I was disappointed too. Sure hoping we could find a way to make it work. But since the cancellation's been announced, there's been just a great outpouring of support from the community. They want to help. They want to make sure the livestock and ag mechanics kids are supported at the online auction that we'll be having. They're asking how they can support the nonprofits on Treat Street, asking how they can support the fair, and certainly we really appreciate those folks.
Then the other thing then that you mentioned earlier was the drive-through Treat Street, which is
Yeah.
the way to help our nonprofits. Can you tell us a little bit about how that's coming together?
Sure. So Nevada County Fair is very unique in that our food and drink concessions are almost entirely provided by nonprofits. Most fairs, certainly fairs of our size, are almost entirely commercial concessionaires. We kind of flip that, and they're mostly nonprofits. So of course, there's a big impact to them with the fair's cancellation, because they generate, some of them, a significant portion of their annual revenue at the fair that then goes right back out into the community to support the causes, that nonprofit, focuses on. So anyhow, it's an attempt to recapture some of that, both for the nonprofits, but to also allow folks that love fair food the opportunity to get said fair food. We're going to have a series of drive-through events where people will obviously drive through, come in their cars onto the fairgrounds, drive down Treat Street, pick up their orders. It'll all be done by pre-orders. That way we can give the nonprofits a little more certainty about quantities and whatnot, and they'll pick up their orders and take it home. So anyhow, we just got a preliminary approval from Nevada County Environmental Health yesterday, so we're excited about that. A few more boxes to check, and then here before too long we'll announce dates and menus and who's participating. But it won't be all of Treat Street, but certainly some of the favorites will be there, and we're excited about it.
We'll hear a bit more from Patrick in a minute, but first let's turn it over to Sonora Slater for more information on the nonprofits and their Treat Street participation.
Thanks, Cole. The cancellation of the 2020 fair, while necessary due to the COVID-19 ban on large gatherings, is understandably disappointing to many. One of the groups most directly affected is the nonprofit organizations that acquire a large portion of their funding each year through Treat Street sales. From Calvary Bible Church using the profit to help their local missionaries, to the Higgins Fire Auxiliary using the money to buy extra equipment. In light of this now unfulfilled need, the Nevada County Fair Board has been working on a plan for a drive-through Treat Street on the fairgrounds, in order to both adhere to safety regulations and support local nonprofits that are already struggling due to the financial strain of the pandemic. Several of the 29 nonprofits that would usually sell food products on Treat Street said that they were interested in participating in something of this nature. The Grass Valley Gold Country Lions Club president Ryan Meacher said that as soon as the event has cleared regulatory hurdles, they plan to join, as the fair is by far their biggest fundraiser to collect the funds that they use to distribute throughout the community during the year. Their main concern is the safety of their volunteers, as many of them are within the most vulnerable age demographic. Another commonly voiced concern was the logistics of whether or not money would be made. Many of the nonprofits were unsure of how much product to buy, due to uncertainty about how many locals would actually turn out for the modified event. Seroptimist International of Grass Valley emphasized how important finding some way to hold a fundraiser is for them, as their only other main fundraiser, the Day of Women, would usually occur in April and did not take place this year. In contrast, Calvary Bible Church is not planning to participate, as they generally sell coffee, something you can get anywhere, and they don't feel it'll be worthwhile for them. There is a possibility that the drive-thru event will be spread out over the course of multiple weeks to ensure complete safety, and as such, the Higgins Fire Auxiliary feels the situation is unpredictable. They don't want to buy food only for it to spoil before they can sell it, and therefore they and many others are unsure of what decision they'll make. Across the board, one thing seemed clear. The organizations wanted to participate in an event for the enjoyment of their community, in order to raise the funds that go toward helping their community. But the logistics of how viable this way of doing so are, as of yet, uncertain. Back to you, Cole.
Thanks, Sonora. Patrick and I also discussed their plans for an online auction for 4-H and FFA students. Let's take a look. So moving on then to the more positive stuff, what are you guys doing moving forward? You've talked about a little bit the ag mechanics auction. What are the details with that?
Yeah, so the junior livestock and ag mechanics auction will be online this year. We're still working with livestock producers, the Nevada County livestock producers. We've jointly produced the auction now for quite a few years. I'm going to do the math, but anyhow, a number of very successful sales, record breaking in the last couple of years. This year, junior livestock and ag mechanics will be combined in that online format. And it's different, obviously, than having a live sale, but it's going to give folks, from out of the area or those that perhaps didn't, want to come to the fair for some reason Sunday morning, an opportunity to participate. And we've really, seen across the community and, even nationally, folks are really interested in local foods. And my gosh, this is just a great way to participate. By buying one of those animals, you can do custom sale, and you will have a freezer full of amazing, humanely raised, locally raised, delicious meat for your family. So anyhow, that'll be August 13th, 14th, 15th. It'll be over 3 days, so there's plenty of time to look at the different lots and learn about the exhibitors and their projects. And of course, any questions or issues, we'll have folks standing by on the phone to assist.
Oh, that's cool. I'm excited for that. I'm definitely going to be checking that out. That seems
Great.
like a great way to handle the sort of situation that we're in.
Yeah, we, obviously been watching the other fairs that have already canceled or already forced to cancel, and, looking at the different platforms they're using, and, able to kind of borrow some ideas and understand what's really working best. So yeah, certainly hope to have all the kinks worked out by August. It's the first time for us to do an online auction, but out of necessity, I think we're going to have something very successful for the kids.
We were curious how 4-H and FFA students felt about all the changes, so Sonora spoke with 2 of them to get their perspectives.
Okay, so first of all, could you just kind of introduce yourself, your connection to the FFA program and the fair and everything like that?
Hi, I'm Connor McGeehee. I'm an incoming senior at Bear River High School. In this upcoming year, I'll be serving as Bear River FFA's chapter president. I have also served my sophomore year as the chapter historian, and my junior year as the chapter sentinel. I also have ties to Meadow Larks 4-H Club, served as an officer there for many years, and I show a lot of livestock through the Nevada County Fair. I've kind of made my way through each species growing up and showing the past 10 years.
Awesome, thank you. So putting aside for a second the changes to the fair that are going to be happening this year, what is the showing process normally like for fair, the auction process, everything like that?
So I believe that for every individual, it's a little bit different, the showing process, because everyone kind of takes their own trail leading up to fair, and their training regimen, their feeding regimen, everything that they do with their animals. But for me, this past year, I started doing steers again. I started last year with that, but unfortunately my steer didn't make weight. So this is kind of my second bad luck year in a row with steers. But this year I got my steer back in December, and I've got a silo full of grain, and I've been working with them pretty much every day, if not every other day. And I go out and I feed them twice a day. We always bathe, we walk around, and we practice showmanship, and just miscellaneous other stuff. And then when we get to fair, we usually bring them in Monday night, and then Tuesday morning a fair is weigh in, and then Wednesday the fair starts. And we're there throughout the week. And for my steer, I would generally show on Friday. Same thing with my dairy heifers, just later in the day. And then we'd show, and then depending on how you place in your market class, they post in order, usually Saturday of the auction. And depending on when you work the auction, when you show, those all kind of depend on each other. And then Sunday we have the auction. It starts 8, 9 in the morning, and then you get up, you get your animal all ready and pretty for the buyers, and then you take it in the ring, you do your little thing for a minute, someone buys it, and then you walk out, and then you just treat it like it was a normal day at the fair. You feed your animal at the end of the day, and then you just leave it there that night whenever you pack everything else up and go home.
It's definitely quite the process.
Yeah.
Okay, so now talking about how the process is different this year, could you kind of talk about what the virtual auction process is going to be like, how things will be different?
So as of right now, I haven't heard a whole lot on the virtual auction process, but I also haven't really had the chance to ask around quite yet. I think they're still kind of in the midst of it, but I have seen a lot of other fairgrounds that have used this different virtual auction platforms that look like eBay kind of. And you can upload like a picture and like a little biography and say like, hey, this is me, this is my animal, yada, yada, yada. It weighs this much, we're selling, and do like a little thing just explaining everything and your process, what you went through, kind of what I just explained a second ago. And I think that would be cool if we did something like that. But kind of, as I said, I haven't heard very much about our process quite yet.
I'm Macy Fowler. I am currently the 2020-2021 Vice President of Bear River FFA. And I've been showing at the fair since I was 9. Well, showing market animals since I was 9. I've always showed in the fair.
Now let's jump into kind of how things are going to be different this year. Could you explain how the virtual auction process is going to work from your understanding of it?
My understanding is currently it's a market ready or non-market ready status. There is no grand champion, supreme grand champion, anything like that. They're not being judged and placed, from my understanding. And I'm not sure, we're using one of the many platforms. The lucky thing is we can observe what other fairs are doing and see what goes wrong, what goes right. And it's an online platform, so there's no live auction like normal. Bidders will bid through whatever platform we use, and then that's the basis of my understanding.
Okay, thank you. So moving from kind of like facts to more your feelings about it, how do you feel about the auction process? Do you think that it's going to be effective in achieving what you guys need to accomplish? What are your guys' feelings, general as an FFA program, about the fair being canceled? How do you think this will affect the program? Everything like that. Just kind of like, how are you in the program feeling right now?
I'm kind of bummed about the whole thing, but it is the best that we can do in the circumstances. There's not very much you can do for a live auction. There's a lot of regulations that prohibit that from happening. So I'm glad that there's another way that we can do the auction. Overall, a lot of people are bummed and really sad that they won't be showing at the fair. That's usually a big event, specifically for Bear River FFA. That's our main aspect of FFA, is one that gathers the most participants is the fair. And so that attendance is down and there's not as many people showing this year.
Okay, I think that's everything I have for you. So thank you so much for talking with us today. Yeah, I think that's everything.
Thanks for talking with us, Connor and Macy. Let's turn it back over to Patrick one more time to hear the best ways we can support our nonprofits and the fair moving forward. What about the exhibits and that kind of thing? I think you mentioned that a little bit earlier. What is the plan with some of that kind of stuff?
Right. So it won't be the full still exhibits program, but we're looking at, classes and, divisions, one that are, popular with our exhibitors, but also something that can, reasonably be done online. So yeah, those will start kicking off here before too long. Keep an eye on our Facebook and other social media channels, but we'll be announcing those on a weekly basis and give folks a chance to show off what they can create. And yeah, there'll be some fun prizes. So,
All right, perfect. Well, is there anything else that you'd like people to know about the fairgrounds or what you guys are doing or ways that we can help support you?
sure. Yeah. So definitely go to the website, nevadacountyfair.com. There'll be more information about the auction. And then, of course, the drive-through treat street. The third piece, when we look at just the fairgrounds as an entity, as as an operation, we are, even though we are state affiliated, we're entirely or very nearly entirely self-funded. And of course, this year that's been compromised, would be putting it lightly, but the ban on mass gatherings, certainly so we would have had, two or more actually, large music festivals by now, other events almost every weekend, those all canceled. And that's, really a big portion of our revenue. Fair itself is over 50% of our revenue for the year. So without that, the fairgrounds financially, it's a very challenging situation right now. And it's true not just for us, but many fairgrounds in California and even beyond that. But, in California, all the fairs, self-funded, and we're self-funded through events and facility rentals and RV park, all of which have really been impacted by COVID, of course, and the restrictions. So anyhow, there's another tab on there called Save Our Fairgrounds. There's 3 ways you can help: either direct donation. Another really great way is to join the Fairgrounds Foundation. They're our nonprofit arm, raising funds to help support the fair. So becoming a member is a great way to get involved. And then lastly, there's currently an advocacy campaign underway. We're estimating roughly just to fairgrounds in California about $300 million in losses for the year, which is a huge number and speaks to why so many fairgrounds are in trouble and potentially at risk of closure. So anyways, there's an advocacy campaign, a website you can go to, and then you can do letters or emails and tweets to get out the word to our elected officials that fairgrounds need help, and we need help in the form of some emergency funding, either from the state or federal government. So
Gotcha. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that information with us, because that was news to me. I hadn't heard that last part, at least.
yeah, no, it's a great way for the community to get involved, and we are doing our very best as the fairgrounds staff and board to make sure this place survives and remains viable, and that once we can reopen, that we're ready to do that. So,
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to join me today.
absolutely, thank you, Cole. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Patrick. Again, to support our fair and keep up to date with the latest information, visit nevadacountyfair.com. We'll leave you this evening with some footage from a previous year's fair. Remember, stay safe, take care of each other. We'll see you next week.
Hi, I'm Cal Newton with the Union, and we're going to be out here at the Nevada County Fair talking to people about their favorite fair attractions. Smokey's feeling good at the fair, so Smokey obviously doesn't speak English, but Andrew Smith, we got you right here.
How's it going, guys?
How you doing, man? So you enjoying the fair so far?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite attraction, or does Smokey have a favorite attraction?
I think Smokey's the favorite attraction.
Smokey is the favorite attraction.
He is the favorite attraction.
I think that's fair.
Animals.
Animals?
Yeah,
Nice.
What's your favorite? Animals.
Animals?
Animals.
A little shy. If you have a favorite attraction at the fair this year.
The California Highway Patrol booth.
Yeah?
Yeah, hands down.
What's that?
Yeah.
Is that right here?
That's right here.
Wow.
Lazy Dog ice cream.
It's gotta be.
It's the best.
You have a favorite Lazy Dog ice cream though?
The brownie ice cream sandwiches.
All right.
Just doesn't really matter what's in it because they're the best thing.
I think the rides are a lot of fun. Yeah, I like to see the kids going on the rides.
Do you have a favorite attraction at the fair?
I like the fine arts.
Fine arts?
Yeah,
Nice.
it's very good.
All the exhibits and such?
Yeah.
Nice. How about you, sir?
About the same, fine arts. But I really like the food here. The food is pretty decent here, and not only that, the women.
Monster truck show.
A monster truck show. Good call.
The demolition derby.
You guys do that every year?
Yeah.
What about you? Do you have a favorite attraction at the fair?
I like the trains, the model trains.
So you're at the fair. Do you have a favorite attraction?
You know, I haven't been out to see anything yet. I like all the canned goods and the cakes and things next door. So
Nice.
to get out to see the cows and the pigs and all the rest of the stuff later.
I think mine is the Vitamix stand in the building over there with all the infomercial things. The Vitamix is my favorite.
I like the bunnies. The bunnies over in
Yeah,
there.
the bunnies are super cute, right? Did you have a favorite bunny?
Yeah, there was a little guy who he looked like a dog almost, standing on his hind legs, and it was really cute.
As a truly horrible looking animal. I do not like looking at that up close at all.